Hello everybody, this is Stephen House and this is MMA Latest and this is The Weigh-Ins, the show where we go through everything that's going on in the world of mixed martial arts for you guys. Now the first thing that we've got for you this afternoon is Holly Holm is open to the idea of fighting Cris Cyborg at £140. Now, half of me thinks it's an incredibly intriguing fight. You're going to have the pressure fighter in Cyborg against the counter-puncher in Holly Holm. But I don't see how this goes well for Holly Holm. I think Cyborg is an absolute wrecking ball. Now, I think she's got excellent hands. I don't think her feet are all that impressive, but she's just going to come forward left and right, and I don't think it's going to be good for Holly Holm. I know she's very agile. I know she can get out of the way, and we saw what happened when Ronda tried to walk her down in that fight. But I think it doesn't go down exactly the same. I think Cyborg's got phenomenally better hands, infinitely better than Ronda's. And I think if she lands a couple, we're going to see it a very, very early night. We saw with Leslie Smith at the weekend just what can happen if Cyborg's able to put her hands on. And I think 140 might be difficult for her. Holly does discuss the fact that she thinks Cyborg might be able to make £135, but I'm not sure that's true. I think 140 is the lowest you're going to get her. And I do think the UFC is going to eventually develop an £145 division just for Cyborg to be the queen of and probably never lose another fight again. Staying with the women's division just for now, Ronda Rousey has been spotted for the first time in a while, is the article saying, in a gi, training judo at the Glendale Fighting Club. Now, I'm not sure how long she's taken out, but it's interesting to know that Ronda is back on the mats, putting the graft in. So I wonder if we're going to be seeing a Ronda Rousey fight in the next 5 or 6 months. Now, UK MMA fans, we got a bit of exciting news this week as Michael Bisping was given the title shot against Luke Rockhold at UFC 199. Now, Bisping has been ridiculed a little bit for taking this fight, and people are limiting his chances, including myself. I don't think he's got a great chance, but let me just read this quote out to you that he's put out this week. He says, if you believe in the Son of God, or if you believe that the Son of God came down to earth 2,000 years ago and he killed himself for our sins, then you can believe I can knock the fuck out of Luke Rockhold 2 weeks from Saturday. Eloquently put, Michael, but as an atheist, this reporter does not think that you are going to be standing there with the gold 2 weeks from Saturday, I'm afraid, my mate. I'm sick of talking about it, but it seems that the internet is not sick of hearing about it. Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather. This time, they're saying that there's 50 million on the purse, on the line for this fight. And it does seem to be that the talk is that it's going to be a boxing match. Do you know what? The more it rumbles on, the more I think it's likely to happen. I don't know what the contract situation is for Conor. I can't imagine that he's able to just break his UFC contract and go and take a boxing fight. But I do have a question for Conor. Are you going to defend this £145 belt anytime in the near future? Today's big news, though, is the absolute car crash that is Mayhem Miller. Mayhem's over in Milan for the Venator 3 fight card, where he was scheduled to fight in a £185 title fight against UK fighter Luke Barnett. Mayhem turned up weighing 209 pounds, or 24 pounds over the weight limit, which suggests to me that he's not even attempted to try cutting weight for it. Now, we've got Jim over in Milan covering this for us, so I'm just going to head over to Jim and see what he's got to say about this.
Jim Edwards here live in Italy at the Abacus Hotel for Venator 3 this weekend, and the weigh-ins have just wrapped up, and I'm sure everyone has heard Jason Mayhem Miller weighed in at 209 pounds for a middleweight title fight. Now, what can I say that hasn't been said already? It's it's incredibly disappointing to see Jason come in at that weight. We were all really hoping that he was going to be, just total professional, and let's face it, he had been. Up until this point, he'd been in Italy, he'd been doing all his media obligations. Everyone was happy, everyone was saying this could be a new Jason Miller, but obviously not. Luke Barnett, the Venator middleweight champion, ever the professional, tipped scales at 185 pounds. He made that championship weight. And now the kind of fallout from all that is obviously that Barnett versus Miller fight isn't happening. Luke's in a new title fight with Stefan Kochusu. And again, I think Venator right now are trying to match up Mayhem with another guy. There's going to be another weigh-in tonight and then another weigh-in tomorrow morning. If Jason Mayhem Miller now weighs light heavyweight of 205, he will face another one of the guys who was supposed to be on the card. So what more can I say? I spoke to Luke afterwards. He was obviously so disappointed to see what's happened today. He was really, he looked in great shape for this fight with Miller. And it's it must be really hard getting such a late opponent at short notice. I also spoke to the Venator FC owner, Frank Miranda. Again, he was really kind of honest with me. He said, to be honest with you, I thought it was 50-50 that Miller was going to miss weight, but I didn't kind of expect him to miss it by that much. So, you know, what can you say, guys? There's tons and tons of interviews already on our channel that you can go and check out after you've watched today's weigh-ins show. Stephen, all I can say is back over to you, my friend. Please make sense of the madness I've seen today. See ya.
Oh, cheers, Jim. How can I make sense of this? I don't think I can make sense of this. I think it's what you get when you put Mayhem Miller on the card. He's clearly got a lot of personal issues going on at the moment, which are clouding his fight career. And I can't defend the decision to put him on a fight card like this. Now, the Venator owner, Frank, has been quite vocal on social media defending his decision to include Mayhem Miller on this card. Ahead of today, the last couple of months, he's been getting a lot of flack for putting him on a card, and he's been defending him. Well, I think Mayhem's let both Frank and himself down here by turning up 24 pounds over. As I said earlier, turning up at that sort of weight over means that you've not even attempted to cut weight. If you turn up 2, 3, 4, 5 pounds over, then people are going to be forgiving. But you turn up 24 pounds over and then take your shorts off, as if taking your shorts off is going to bring you under the limit for 24 pounds. How heavy are your shorts, mate? So I don't know what to say there for Mayhem Miller, and I think he needs to go away and sort his personal life out before he even thinks about fighting in the cage again. However, Venator are putting on a pretty decent card tonight, and they've got Rousimar Palhares as the headline on this, fighting against Emil Meek, in what's going to be an intriguing fight if you're a fan of heel hooks, because that's how I think it's going to go down. Palhares, first round heel hook. Now, alright, I'm not being Mystic Steve over here. I think that's a pretty common bet. I think everyone's going to be going for the same sort of thing, but I am glad at least that someone is taking a gamble on Rousimar Palhares, because I think he was unfairly treated, and I don't think, by every organisation really, in getting rid of him. I think the referees had more of a duty to do in both of the instances where Palhares was seen to be holding on to submissions a little bit longer than normal. You're supposed to fight until the referee tells you to stop. Tapping on a fighter's back to say, oh, it's over, in the middle of an MMA match is not good enough. So for me, the referee should have picked it up, and everyone's just piling in on Palhares. So I'm actually glad that he's got the opportunity to fight, and I, for one, am definitely tuning into this fight. Last week, I was at the UK MMA event BAMMA in Birmingham, where I saw an absolutely stacked card of UK MMA, really promising for the sport in this country. And while I was there, Greg Jackson was there, looking after his fighter Tom Dukanwa, who picked up another world title strap. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing his career progress. But while he was there, Greg Jackson spoke to me and talked to me about Jon Jones at UFC 200. Check this out. Stephen Nelson here for MMA Latest News, joined by one of the world's most renowned trainers, Greg Jackson. Jon Jones fighting DC. Tell us how that fight's going to go down.
It's a tough fight. DC is obviously very prepared and has been training and winning and fighting extremely well, and we've got to get Jon up to his potential. So we're going to get into camp and do what we do, and hopefully we'll come out the winner.
There's been a lot of talk that Jon's refocused himself, moved to Albuquerque, he's doubling down on his training. Are you seeing a different evolution in Jon Jones at the moment?
I think he's seeing continued evolution. He's always a very intense guy. I'm very lucky I get to work with him, and I'm just seeing that evolution continue the more intense he gets.
In his last fight, we saw him tested in ways that perhaps we wouldn't have thought he was going to be tested. And did you mention on the camera, or we may have picked up you on the camera, mentioning his cardio? Do you think the heavy lifting that he's been doing is affecting his cardio?
No, it's funny that everybody listens to what my ring stuff is, but they don't have any context to the conversation. There's a time and a place for powerlifting. Where you do that in camp is important, and what motions you're doing. There's a lot of important there, but that would be a whole interview in itself. But it's great that people will write down all the dumb things I say and then debate over it.
Now, aside from Venator this weekend, there's one other major fight that you need to be looking forward to, or one other major card that you need to be looking forward to. Bellator's putting on a right show for us. Melvin Manhoef against Rafael Carvalho. Now, this is an exciting fight. This would be an exciting fight if it was in the UFC, but it's a headline main event middleweight title for Bellator, and I'm looking forward to this for a number of reasons. One being that Melvin Manhoef has never been in a boring fight in his life. He could stand in a queue at the library and it'd be exciting, I think. So I'm looking for Melvin to come out and Melvin Manhoef this. I'm looking for him to throw short lefts, short rights, nasty leg kicks. I think Rafael Carvalho needs to press him up against the cage, not let him settle, not let him sit down on the back foot, and if he's looking to get a victory, I think he's got to take this to the mat. He's got to show what he can do on the ground, and he's got to probably grind a victory out or look for a submission. Melvin Manhoef's just got to come up, Melvin Manhoef him, watch he doesn't get caught, because he has been susceptible to getting caught in recent years, but I think if Melvin turns up, this could be an absolute firecracker, and I am looking forward to it, and I hope Melvin gets the win here, because I do like watching him fight, and I do think having him as a champion is something good that Bellator would be doing instead of some of the sideshow fights that they're putting on. This is an exciting fighter that you can get crowds to go and watch, so Bellator, I'll be tuning in. That's tonight, by the way, as well. That's not Saturday night, that's tonight. So tune in if you can, because this is going to be one explosive fight. Now, that's it for us this week. Thank you for joining us once again. We'll be here every single Friday giving you the lowdown on MMA around the world. So please subscribe if you'd like to see some more. Hit us up in the comments if you've anything to say, anything that you want to discuss with us, whether it's about what Greg Jackson said about Jon Jones, Holly Holm, Ronda Rousey, the Conor McGregor and Floyd Mayweather fight. Is that going to happen? Husamar Palhares? What's going on with Mayhem? All of it. Throw it in the comments. Drop us a like. Subscribe, as I said. And we'll see you soon. Goodbye.